On a rainy Monday morning in downtown Chicago, a janitor quietly pushed his cleaning cart through the polished marble lobby of Meridian Global Holdings. Most employees never looked twice at him. One executive rolled her eyes when he accidentally paused near the elevators. Another manager complained that the floors weren't shiny enough. Then, just before noon, the company's CEO pointed at the cleaner in front of dozens of employees and said coldly, "Turn in your badge. You're fired." The entire lobby watched in silence. Nobody knew the cleaner wasn't a cleaner at all. He was the only heir to a multi-billion-dollar company. And even fewer people knew why he'd chosen to wear that gray uniform in the first place. 36-year-old Ethan Whitmore never wanted to inherit a business. Growing up, everyone assumed one day he would become CEO of Meridian Global Holdings, the hospitality empire built by his legendary mother, Eleanor Whitmore. Luxury hotels. Conference centers. Resorts across America. Thousands of employees. Billions in annual revenue. But Ethan had never been interested in titles. He believed companies weren't built with marble lobbies. They were built by people. Housekeepers. Maintenance workers. Receptionists. Security guards. Kitchen staff. People whose names rarely appeared in annual reports. 5 years earlier, Ethan's life had changed forever when his wife, Olivia, passed away unexpectedly after a sudden illness. Their daughter, Lily, had been only 5 years old. Since then, Ethan had learned that being both father and mother wasn't something you mastered. It was something you practiced every single day. Every school lunch. Every bedtime story. Every scraped knee. Every hard conversation. One evening while helping Lily with homework, she looked up and asked, "Daddy, Grandma owns all those hotels, right?" "She does." "How does she know if everyone is happy working there?" Ethan smiled. "I'm sure she gets reports." Lily frowned. "But reports don't have feelings." The words stayed with him. 4 weeks. A month later, Eleanor invited Ethan to her office overlooking Lake Michigan. She looked tired. Not physically. Emotionally. "I've been reading employee surveys," she said. "They look good. They're too good." Ethan looked confused. "What do you mean?" "I've visited 3 hotels. And? The managers always know I'm coming. They prepare. They smile. They hide problems." She sighed. "I don't know what's really happening anymore." Ethan leaned back. "What if someone visited without anyone knowing?" Eleanor raised an eyebrow. "You?" He nodded. "No suits. No name. No special treatment. I'll work the lowest paying job I can find." She laughed. "You've never cleaned a hotel room." "No. But I can learn." She studied her son for nearly a minute. Finally she smiled. "I'll make one phone call. No executives. No announcements. No exceptions." 2 weeks later. No luxury car. No designer watch. No family name. Just an application under the name Eddie Carter. Assigned to Meridian Plaza, Chicago. Position: night cleaning crew. Hourly wage. Temporary contract. Only one person knew his real identity. His mother. Even human resources believed he was simply a new hire. The work was harder than Ethan imagined. Vacuuming endless hallways. Taking out heavy trash. Cleaning conference rooms after midnight events. Mopping floors before sunrise. His back hurt. His hands blistered. Yet what surprised him most wasn't the physical work. It was the people. Maria, who worked 2 jobs while raising twin boys. Leon, a retired Marine helping support his granddaughter's college tuition. Sam, a quiet young man saving every paycheck to become a nurse. They laughed together. Shared sandwiches. Covered each other's shifts. They weren't invisible to each other. Only to management. Meridian Plaza's CEO wasn't actually the owner of the company. She was the regional chief executive responsible for several luxury properties. Victoria Langford had impressive credentials. Top business school. Fast promotions. Record-breaking profits. Her numbers looked outstanding. But something about the workplace felt cold. Every conversation centered on efficiency. Budget cuts. Productivity. Appearance. Employees stopped talking whenever she entered a room. Nobody smiled naturally. One afternoon Ethan watched Victoria criticize a front desk employee because a flower arrangement wasn't symmetrical. The employee apologized 4 times. Victoria never thanked her. Instead she simply walked away. Later Ethan found the receptionist quietly crying in the break room. He sat nearby without speaking. After several minutes she smiled weakly. "Thanks for not asking." Sometimes kindness needed silence more than words. One snowy evening Ethan noticed Maria rubbing her shoulder while trying to push an overloaded cleaning cart. He walked over. "I've got it." She laughed. "You already finished your floor. So? You'll be late going home." "My daughter can wait 15 more minutes." Together they finished the hallway. The next morning Maria placed a homemade breakfast burrito beside Ethan's locker. "No charge," she said. "It's called saying thank you." Kindness moved through people like ripples across water. Always farther than you expected. Over the next 6 weeks Ethan filled an entire notebook. Not with complaints. With observations. Employees skipped breaks because departments were understaffed. Housekeepers bought cleaning gloves with their own money. Maintenance requests were delayed because budgets had been frozen. Managers feared speaking honestly. Yet profits continued rising. The company looked successful. The people felt exhausted. One evening Leon said something Ethan never forgot. "A company can survive without perfect floors. It can't survive without people who care." One Friday afternoon the lobby was unusually busy. A national business conference had just arrived. Guests streamed through revolving doors. Luggage rolled across marble floors. Phones rang non-stop. Near the entrance an elderly guest accidentally dropped her suitcase. Papers scattered everywhere. Without hesitation Ethan parked his cleaning cart and knelt to help gather everything. Several employees joined him. The woman smiled with relief. "You young people are angels." Unfortunately, Victoria had witnessed everything. She stormed across the lobby. "What are you doing?" Ethan stood. "Helping a guest. I assigned you to conference rooms." She needed assistance. "I don't pay cleaners to play concierge." Several guests turned toward the argument. Victoria's voice grew louder. "You've ignored instructions repeatedly. You waste time talking to employees. You interfere with operations." She pointed toward human resources. "Turn in your badge. You're fired." Silence filled the lobby. Maria gasped. Leon stepped forward. "It was my idea to help." Victoria ignored him. Security approached. Ethan quietly removed his employee badge. "Thank you for the opportunity," he said calmly. Then he walked out carrying only his cleaning gloves. The following morning Victoria arrived at corporate headquarters expecting congratulations for maintaining discipline. Instead she was invited into the executive boardroom. Inside sat 12 board members. Company attorneys. Senior executives. And Eleanor Whitmore. Victoria smiled confidently. You wanted to discuss regional performance? Eleanor nodded. We do. A large screen illuminated behind them. Photos appeared. Employees eating lunch together. Broken equipment. Budget reports. Staff interviews. Customer experiences. Victoria frowned. What is this? A 6-week operational review. Who conducted it? Eleanor looked toward the doorway. Come in. The door opened. The cleaner from yesterday walked inside wearing a navy suit. Victoria's face turned pale. Eddie? He smiled gently. My name is Ethan Whitmore. I believe we've met. The room became completely silent. Victoria struggled to speak. I didn't know. Eleanor interrupted softly. That wasn't the point. Ethan placed his worn notebook on the conference table. I wasn't evaluating profits. I was learning whether our people felt respected. He opened page after page. Names. Stories. Ideas. Acts of kindness. Missed opportunities. Employees helping guests after shifts. Managers afraid to report problems. Workers buying supplies with personal money. Finally he reached the last page. It says here. He looked directly at Victoria. Employees fear making mistakes more than they enjoy serving guests. That's a dangerous culture. Victoria lowered her eyes. Our financial results are excellent, Ethan finished. But people aren't numbers. No spreadsheet can measure dignity. Everyone expected Victoria to be escorted out immediately. Instead Eleanor surprised the room. You are no longer regional CEO. Victoria nodded silently. But you're not being dismissed. She looked up in disbelief. Eleanor continued. You'll spend the next 6 months working alongside every department. Front desk. Housekeeping. Maintenance. Kitchen. Laundry. Customer service. No executive office. No reserved parking. You'll earn back leadership by understanding those you lead. Victoria's eyes filled with tears. I don't deserve another chance. Ethan answered quietly. Maybe. But someone once gave me one. My wife believed people grow fastest when someone believes they still can. The room remained still. Not because punishment had been avoided. Because grace had appeared where everyone expected revenge. Change came slowly. Then all at once. Victoria worked housekeeping shifts. She learned how long it actually took to prepare luxury suites. She fixed beds. Pushed cleaning carts. Delivered towels. She apologized personally to dozens of employees. Not everyone forgave immediately. Some never did. But many noticed something different. She started asking questions. Then listening. Budgets changed. Employee suggestion meetings became monthly. Maintenance requests were approved faster. Managers were rewarded for supporting teams, not just cutting costs. Turnover dropped dramatically. Customer satisfaction quietly climbed. Not because the carpets became cleaner. Because smiles became genuine again. One Saturday Ethan brought 10-year-old Lily to visit the hotel. Maria hugged her. Leon taught her how to polish brass railings. The front desk staff gave her a tiny employee badge that read, Honorary Kindness Ambassador. She proudly wore it all afternoon. Before leaving she looked around the busy lobby. Everybody looks happier. Ethan smiled. What makes you think that? They're talking to each other. Children often noticed what adults overlooked. Months later, at Meridian's annual leadership conference, Ethan stood before hundreds of managers. He didn't begin with revenue. or expansion, or strategy. Instead, he held up an old pair of gray cleaning gloves. For 6 weeks, he said, these taught me more about leadership than 20 years in boardrooms. He paused. If your employees are afraid of you, they'll obey. If they trust you, they'll care. And people who care will always create something numbers alone never can. He looked across the audience. The greatest title in any company isn't CEO. It's the person who makes others feel seen. The room stood in applause. Not because the heir had gone undercover. Not because the CEO had lost her position. But because everyone understood the real lesson. Kindness isn't weakness. It isn't expensive. It doesn't appear on quarterly reports. Yet it has the power to transform families, workplaces, and entire communities, one ordinary act at a time. Sometimes the most important person in the building isn't the one sitting in the corner office. Sometimes it's the person quietly pushing a cleaning cart, reminding everyone that respect should never depend on a job title. And when we choose to see the people others overlook, we often discover the very heart of what success was meant to be.